Hey everyone, and welcome back to That Disney Girl. So on today's episode, we are going to be talking about my top 3 rides at the Animal Kingdom. Now I know I'm only talking about my top 3 rides. There are many more rides that are great at this park, but I just thought I'd make it a little bit difficult for myself and only stick to 3 main ones. So my first ride that I'm going to talk to you today about is Kilimanjaro Safaris. Kilimanjaro Safaris is going to simulate a safari through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. It goes through many forests and wetlands, and lots of African wildlife roams around as you move through this attraction. Now this attraction is 110 acres. If you want a size comparison, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Magic Kingdom is 105 acres. So it is even larger than the Magic Kingdom. So if you watched last week's episode on my top 5 rides at the Magic Kingdom, if you haven't watched that, I think you should, so go check it out after this one. But anyways, back to what I was saying. One of my rides was the Jungle Cruise, and if you remember me talking about Walt's idea for the Jungle Cruise, he originally wanted real live animals. It didn't work for the Jungle Cruise, but you can see how Walt's idea of having real animals in a theme park eventually came to fruition. Right when the ride was opening, originally, when you were on your safari, you were going to hear a static noise through your radio, and you were going to be warned that you were on the lookout for poachers who are going to poach the tusks off of a mother elephant and her baby elephant. Eventually, a cast member was going to pop out and catch the poachers dressed as a guard or something. And you think that you have saved the day, you're all really happy. As the attraction keeps on moving on, you do see not a real animal, but it is a simulated fake dead elephant. The mama elephant has died. You see her slaughtered on the floor. Now, as you can see, this isn't too Disney friendly, and obviously it did get some complaints, but Disney did have a good idea at heart. They really wanted to educate you on what was going out with poachers in the wildlife. But Disney did decide that this was a bit too much, especially when a child is on this attraction, since most of the animals around them are real. When they see that dead animatronic on the floor, even though it's not real, they're going to associate it as a real animal since everything around them was real. So they did remove the idea of the elephant dying, and in the end you just caught the poachers and it was a happy day. But eventually by 2012, Disney removed the elephant storyline altogether, and then you just went through the attraction and learned about all of the animals. Now when you go through this attraction, it does look very open concept, which is one of the really cool things about this, because it looks like you are in an African safari. You're just looking around and everything is open. But as you can imagine, this wouldn't actually work. You wouldn't want to put a hyena and a lion together, because a fight is going to break out, and that is not going to be great for guests to watch, and it's not going to be too great for the animals who are in this reserve. So what Disney has done is built moats. There's some chain link on the ground which your safari vehicle does go over as it's moving through its safari, and these are things that separate the different biospheres. Although the animals are stuck in their respective areas, it is a very large area. They are free to roam wherever they'd like, and they are taken very well care of. Now, I'm a really big fan of this ride because I love animals, so if you love animals, that is going to really be a big pull for you to be on the ride. But the best thing about this ride is your safari tour guide. The first time that I went on this ride, I was actually shocked at how intelligent your safari guide was. So when you're going through, your safari guide will ask you if you have any questions. You can raise your hand and they will answer literally any question. I've never heard one be stumped about anything, which is really awesome because you see how much education they have, and it really shows you the pride they have for working on this attraction. Now, if you want to see the animals, I suggest going in the mornings. The animals will be out and about, and they will be roaming their areas when it is cooler out, so I guess the nighttime would work well for this too, but if you want the daylight so that you could see the animals best, the mornings are going to work. They're also out and ready to eat. They are hungry, so that is another great time to visit in the morning. Now, the wait time for this ride is usually about 40 minutes. This definitely can climb, and it can also go lower. I usually like to get a fast pass for Kilimanjaro Safaris. I think it's a good one to grab. It's a little bit farther into the park, so you're gonna hit other rides before you hit Kilimanjaro Safaris. So if you're gonna be walking through and you wanna do standby attractions right when the park opens, it's going to be better to do some of the other attractions in the parks that you're going to pass by first instead of Kilimanjaro Safaris. Now, the next ride we're going to talk about has been one of my favorite rides at the Animal Kingdom for many years, and this ride is Dinosaur. If you've ever been on Dinosaur, you know that it is a fast-moving attraction about dinosaurs. If you haven't been on this attraction, it is so much fun. So when you're on this ride, you're put into a time rover and you're on a mission to go back to the Cretaceous period. When you're on your mission, you are meant to rescue an iguanodon from the Cretaceous period and bring him back to today. The only issue is that you have a Carnotaurus on the loose and he is chasing after you. And the moment that you are going to save this iguanodon is the exact moment the meteor hit Earth to extinct all animals. So there is some pressure and you definitely are on a time crunch. So originally this ride was named Countdown to Extinction. Disney decided to make the ride a little bit less intense after guests complained about how intense the ride was. While they were doing this, Disney decided to rename the attraction Dinosaur. This was because they were trying to market their new film Dinosaur and they thought this was a great way to publicize it. So the queue for this ride is pretty interesting. You're gonna get lots of fossils, different facts about dinosaurs as you're going through. Once you make it into the room right before the pre-show, Bill Nye the Science Guy is gonna have some audio come on and he will talk to you about the Cretaceous period and different things about dinosaurs. And you're gonna have a giant fossil in the middle of the room and it's gonna be a lifelike bone fossil of a Carnotaurus, which you will later see in the ride, but not so fossil, like a lot more real life. Now this part of the queue is not too bad, but when you're in that room with Bill Nye talking to you, this is something that loops, and if you're going through all of the stanchions, you're gonna hear this loop many times and it's gonna get pretty boring, which is why I like to grab a fast pass for the ride. When you go into the pre-show, you learn about your mission and then you finally enter the loading room. The loading room is a lot more immersive. Disney did a really great job in making this dark and look like you're about to go on a mission. It really hypes you up. Since Pandora opened, Flight of Passage, as you probably know, has had outrageously long lines. Because of this, most of the other rides in the morning at Animal Kingdom do not have long wait times. The last time I went to Animal Kingdom, I got onto Dinosaur in under 10 minutes because Flight of Passage had a 3-hour wait line, which was taking most of the guest time up. The line is not going to become shorter no matter what time you go in the day. You might as well just do it later in the day and use that time that it gives you in the morning to hit up the other rides when they don't have too long of a wait. So speaking of Flight of Passage, of course that makes my list in my top 3 rides at Animal Kingdom. This is one of Animal Kingdom's newest rides in the land of Pandora. Now if there's any pull for you to go to Flight of Passage, it should be the fact that it lives in the land of Pandora. I'm going to say that Pandora might be the best job that Disney has done in creating a world. When you go there, it's amazing. I'm gonna put some pictures in right now so you can see how great Pandora is. It just looks like you're in the movie. The details done are so great, even from everything on the floor to the moss walls to the trees and the waterfalls, which some of them aren't even real waterfalls and you wouldn't even know. They did such a good job imagineering this ride. Flight of Passage takes place after the war between humans, mankind, and the Na'vi has happened. So right now everyone is living harmoniously. So that's why it makes it okay for you to be in this new research facility for avatars. Something to be noted is that this ride will probably give you motion sickness. Now, I think that it doesn't give you as much motion sickness as other rides that I've been on, particularly Universal rides. But when I've watched some other reviews on this ride, people have come off feeling pretty sick. So if you do have motion sickness, you might need to decide if it's worth it or not. Now let's talk about the queue. This is the longest queue Disney has ever built. The longest wait time Disney ever had was 5 hours for Soarin', and now it is over 6 hours for Flight of Passage. Now, 6 hours isn't the usual wait time for this ride. It's probably going to usually be around 2 hours, but that still is a very long time to be in line. Now, I think Disney realized that this was going to happen. They were expecting it, and so they made a queue worth a 2-hour wait. Now, the backdrop for the queue is the Resources Development Administration Mining Center, which you see in the first movie when there's going to be a potential war between mankind and the Na'vi. Now, after the war, this becomes a conservation initiative for banshees and banshee research. So Disney does a really good way of transitioning you through a timeline on what's been going on since the war has ended. Now, you begin outside of the ride and then you slowly enter a cave, and inside of this cave you're going to see lots of drawings on the wall, and it's kind of telling you the story of the avatars. Then you move into that old mining resources center, and you can start to see how this center isn't really being used as much anymore. Things are starting to rust. There's kind of war-torn propaganda that was from the war before, but it's still on the wall, but it's being ripped down. So you can see how this hasn't been touched in a while, although it is the same center that they are using, which kind of shows that the humans gave this to the avatars, so you can see how the world is coinciding now today. And then you get to the coolest part of the queue. You move into a much more Pandora friendly area. In this part of the queue, there is going to be beautiful water, different plants, so many colors, the lighting, everything just really makes you feel like you're in this world of Pandora. And after you cross through there, you get to see Dr. Augustine's lab. This is probably the part of the queue that everybody wants to see, because you are going to see an 8-foot live avatar in a test tube. Although this avatar isn't specifically supposed to be Jake Sully from the movie, he is visually indistinguishable from him, so that's something that you could check out when you're in the line. Now, something interesting about the animatronic is it's not too high in technology. It doesn't move around, it just kind of floats in the water in this test tube. The thing that's really impressive about it is the detail that they put into creating it. This animatronic is something that Disney worked very closely with James Cameron on. James Cameron really wanted to make sure that the test tube looked perfect, even down to the way that the bubbles moved in the test tube. He really had a big hand on creating this ride, and you actually could see little remnants of James Cameron throughout the queue, especially in the first part of the queue with his handprint on some of the Avatar handprints, his handprint in red with the Avatar handprints in a much darker color. Flight of Passage actually uses some really cool technology in their little pre-show. Before you enter the ride, you go through 2 pre-shows, and they're going to lead you through a genetic matching room. Now, what happens in this genetic matching room is that you become an avatar. Now, Disney could have taken a really easy cop-out with this and just say, you're an avatar now. But they decided to take it one step further. When you're in the genetic matching room, you're standing on a specific number, and this is so that the cameras above can read your body. What this is going to do is project an outline of your body on 2 screens all around you, and you're going to be able to see which one is you and which one is your friends or family around you. This image is going to slowly become an avatar that looks somewhat like you. So I think that it is really cool that the Imagineers decided to let you see what you look like as an avatar right before you go onto a ride. It really creates a sense of immersion into the ride and makes it a lot more believable when they say you're going to become an avatar and you're going to be paired with a banshee. And once you go onto the ride vehicle is a motorcycle type looking thing. You're going to sit on top of it, your back is going to be locked into place, and you're going to have 3D glasses on. Now, Flight of Passage uses a technology that James Cameron wanted to use, and it's the same technology as Soarin'. James Cameron kind of wanted the idea of Soarin' over Pandora, and he definitely got it. When you go into your ride vehicle, you are sitting on your motorcycle thing, and it is actually your banshee, which feels a lot more like your banshee as the ride goes on because it actually expands. You could feel your banshee breathe with you, which is a really cool technique and a really smart thing that I think Disney did, since when you're an avatar and you are paired to your banshee, you are acting as one. But back to the technology of this vehicle itself. The screen is going to open, and it is the same giant screen that Soarin' uses, except you feel a lot more closer to this one. When you're on the ride experiencing the world of Pandora, you're gonna get bursts of air coming at you from the ride, you're gonna get little mists of water, and it is just so beautiful. Obviously, I'm going to say if you can get a fast pass for this ride, get a fast pass for this ride. It's definitely worth it. I think it's a must-do. I've waited the 2 hours in line for it, and I've also had the fast pass for the ride. Both ways are great. Of course, you'd like to get on it as quick as possible, but the good thing is that even if you are waiting the 2 hours or more, hopefully not more, there are lots of things to look at in this ride. It is probably one of the most immersive queues you're gonna get at Disney. So at least your time will be spent by looking at some very interesting things. Okay, so that is it. Those are my top 3 rides in Animal Kingdom. So like I said, we started off with Kilimanjaro Safaris. I think that Dinosaur is a spectacular ride. And of course, Flight of Passage is one that you need to see. So if you have any other ideas about rides that you like to go on when you're at Animal Kingdom, please let me know in the comments below, and feel free to subscribe to this channel. You can like this video, of course, like I mentioned, comment on this video, and please check out some of my other videos. Of course, if you want to find me on Instagram, you can follow me at @_thatdizgirl. I'm always happy to find new Instagram friends. I hope you guys have a magical day, and I will see you real soon.